Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're going to dig into this incredible story, one where the fate of a whole global movement really came down to the decision of one powerful and, let's be honest, completely uninterested official.
So, can a bored politician accidentally change the course of history? Well, we're about to dive into a courtroom drama from almost 2,000 years ago, where that might have happened. You'll see how this Roman proconsul, who was probably just trying to get through his day, made a ruling that ended up shaping the future of Christianity in a huge way.
All right, Act 1, a coordinated attack. Our story kicks off in this bustling Roman city, Corinth. The Apostle Paul, he's been teaching there for a solid 18 months, and his success, well, it's really infuriated the local Jewish leadership. So they decide, okay, it's time to shut this guy down. But not through debate, no. They're going to use the full force of Roman law.
And this is where they take him. It's called the Bema. It was the official judgment seat right in the Roman Forum. Think of it as this big public platform symbolizing the absolute, unquestionable power of Roman law. So when they drag Paul here, this is serious business. It's not some casual hearing. This is the ultimate symbol of imperial power, where the judgments are final. The stage is totally set for a massive confrontation.
And here's the charge they level against him. This man is persuading people to worship God contrary to the law. Now, listen to that wording. It's so carefully chosen, right? It's designed specifically to grab the attention of a Roman official. It sounds super serious, but there's a really clever ambiguity at play here. Okay, so let's break this down. On the one hand, what did the accusers really mean? They meant Paul was violating Jewish religious law. But what did they want Rome to hear? They wanted the Romans to hear that Paul was violating Roman law, introducing some illegal new religion and threatening the public peace. The whole strategy was in that vague phrase, contrary to the law. To them, it's about the Torah, but they're hoping the Roman proconsul hears it as a threat to Roman order. It was a really smart, calculated legal move. All right, Act 2, the judgment seat. So all eyes now turn to the man sitting in that seat of power, Lucius Junius Gallio. Now, this guy was the proconsul of Achaia, and he was known for his philosophical mind and, really importantly, his impartiality. Fun fact, he's the brother of the famous philosopher Seneca. The main thing to know about him, he is not interested in getting bogged down in local squabbles. So, the accusers have laid out their case. You can just imagine the tension. And Paul, he's about to open his mouth to defend himself. He's ready to speak. But before he can get out a single word, the judge just cuts in. And just like that, Gallio stops everything. He says, look, if it were a matter of some crime or serious wrongdoing, I would justly hear you, but I am unwilling to be a judge of these matters. He basically tells them, listen, if this were a real crime, like a robbery or something serious, sure, I'd listen. But this is an internal religious argument, and I want absolutely no part of it. And boom, he dismisses the entire case. So what's Gallio's reasoning here? Well, first, he makes this clear distinction between Roman criminal law and their internal religious disputes. He identifies the whole issue as one of words and names and your own law. And he completely refuses to let the Roman court be used to settle their theological arguments. The crucial thing here is his sharp legal mind. He saw right through their whole strategy. He knew this wasn't a threat to Rome. It was a squabble about words and names within Judaism. And by refusing to get involved, he ends up setting a really powerful precedent. Okay, Act 3, chaos and a precedent. So the case is dismissed, and Gallio literally drives the accusers from his judgment seat. But the crowd, they're all riled up now, and they aren't finished. The whole scene just descends into chaos, right there in front of the court. And what happens next is wild. The crowd turns on Sosthenes, the synagogue leader, the guy who was leading the charge against Paul, and they start beating him right there in front of the judgment seat. This mob, maybe it was Gentiles who were pro-Paul, or maybe just anti-Jewish, who knows? But they turn on the lead prosecutor. It's this incredibly dramatic and violent symbol of the social turmoil this whole message was causing. And the amount of concern Gallio showed for this beating, a big fat zero.
The record says he paid no attention to any of these things. This moment just perfectly captures his complete detachment. He shows absolutely no concern. His indifference sends a crystal clear message. This is your mess, and Rome is not going to be your referee. His non-action speaks just as loudly as his ruling did.
Now, this ruling is set an unofficial but incredibly powerful legal precedent all across the Roman Empire. Think about it. Gallio was probably just being a practical Roman administrator, trying to clear his to-do list for the day. But his decision, it had these massive ripple effects. This wasn't just about one case in one city. It actually established a whole framework for how the empire would view this new Christian movement for years to come.
And this is what we call the providential shield. By classifying Christianity as basically an internal matter of Judaism, which was a legal, protected religion, Gallio inadvertently protected it from persecution under Roman law for decades. See, Judaism was a religio licita, a legal religion. And Gallio's ruling basically said Christianity was a sect within it. So the early Christian mission could now expand under that same legal protection. It really was like a divine intervention, using a totally secular and frankly indifferent ruler. So let's get to the takeaway, lessons from the shield. Why does this little legal fight from almost 2,000 years ago even matter to us today? Well, because the principles behind it are absolutely timeless. It just goes to show how divine purposes can unfold in the most unexpected ways imaginable.
So what can we take from this? Step 1, trust in divine providence. God can clearly use secular, even totally indifferent, authorities to protect his purposes. Step 2, discern the true battle. We have to recognize the difference between a spiritual conflict and a legal one. And step 3, persevere with confidence. Use the freedom and protection you have to boldly advance the mission. It's this powerful lesson in trusting God's sovereignty, knowing which battles to fight, and just pressing forward with confidence. And that brings us to this final question. Where might an unlikely shield be protecting a divine purpose in our world today? Think about it. Gallio wasn't a friend of the Christian faith at all. He was just doing his job. It really makes you wonder, what seemingly ordinary or even indifferent systems or people out there right now might be serving as an unlikely shield for a purpose that is way, way bigger than they could ever realize?